What does that graffiti say over there?
For a good time. Don't look at that, Bobby.
And we're out.
Look at that.
Wow. I didn't know what was happening over there. I didn't want to look because it's scary.
Oh gosh.
That's what reproductive parts look like, Rhett.
Do you know why?
Yeah, facing that way.
Do you know why babies and just like little people in general become really freaky when you do things like paint them red?
Let's talk about love languages.
I mean like young young people.
Just answer your question. Why? Why? Because it looks like blood. That's why.
No. You don't want you to hear my point.
I'm asking. Ask me a question.
What's this?
What makes them creepy? And I'm trying to answer.
No. What's this? When you do a horror movie, what's the scariest possible way? Do you say, oh, let's get a big burly man to go kill people? No. You say, let's get a little baby to kill everybody. Irony, man. Irony makes the world go around. You take a little girl in a dress and you put a demon inside her. That is some scary crap, dude.
I think they add the demon in post.
I'm just saying, man. That's what good horror is all about. You take the most innocent object and make it the evilest possible. That's why this is so crazy, but thanks for it.
You know what there should be? A documentary about the children actresses who play and how it impacts their lives being the creepiest
there is
people.
One. It's called Loss of Innocence. I was kidding, I was making that up.
We should do that.
How it impacts their relationships? Like the girl from Poltergeist or the girl from Emily Rose?
Their lives.
The Ring girl.
Oh, that girl. Oh.
That's the Grudge girl. There's a little girl on that Strain. I've been watching that Strain. There's a little girl on that Strain that she's...
Talking like your mom. I've been watching that Strain. That Strain.
Okay, so I gotta say, you said that you were confirmed in your suspicions that words of affirmation were your number one. And
then quality time.
And I also thought that words of affirmation would be my number one going in.
Why would you think that?
Why would I think that? Because I've thought about the 5 love languages, and I know that it's not physical touch. I know that it's not quality time because I like to be alone and to not be touched. so those two are taken care of.
And also I know yours by matter of elimination?
Yeah.
Maybe you're unlovable. I mean, when someone gives you a word of affirmation, does it make you feel good?
When people do acts of service for me, I feel guilty when people do acts of service for me. But I don't feel guilty when they get me a gift. Now, but I think the reason that gift giving was my number one is because I just like stuff. You know what I'm saying? I buy stuff for myself. I buy a lot of stuff for myself, and if Jessie gets me she'll do like a bunch of little things for like Father's Day, and it's like those things mean a lot to me.
A lot of little things is even better for you than one big thing because you have more experiences.
Right.
Every item is an experience for you. So I get that. But here's the one
But I wasn't expecting it to be number one until I started answering the question.
Especially when you consider that typically your love language, like you said, is the way that you instinctively love other people. Yet I don't find you giving gifts that you're not like a showerer of gifts.
No, I'm not. And that's why but I also don't, I think that can be true, but I don't think it's always true. My wife, that's another reason I didn't think it was receiving gifts.
Because you don't give gifts.
Because I'm like, the fact that my wife is the one who thinks about giving gifts to all my relatives and she figures all that stuff out because I don't want to do it.
I don't think that that's totally legit there.
You don't think it's legit that receiving gifts is my love language?
I don't
that
think
you always be good at the one that I'm not good at any of them.
I don't think that you have a love language. No offense. It's fine. My wife has all of them. So it's her fault. She's taking it from you probably.
But what would you have, if you had to have guessed as what my number one would be, what would you say?
Words of affirmation.
Which, like I said, on any given day, they're so close that I could have answered a little bit differently and maybe it would be 9 to 8 the other way.
I mean, I like when I'm complimented. It's pretty obvious.
It's pretty simple.
It's just pretty simple. And whenever I'm going to do something, I concern myself with who's gonna be there. Or I decide if it's worth doing based on who I'm going with. So that's what quality, that's how I know those are my top two.
But that's an interesting, because I was thinking about everything in relationship to my wife, not in relationship to like groups of people that I hang out with.
I think, I mean, definitely if same goes for Christy though. I mean, if she compliments me, I think that's the best thing she can do.
No, I'm saying with quality time. The way you answered the quality time question made it seem like I want to make sure that there's going to be the right people at this function. I totally agree with that. But in terms of like once I'm in a relationship with someone,
but like because how do Christy and I connect?
Because I'm an introvert
by doing something.
I do like to do things by myself. You know, I think
it applies more to. I mean, Christy and I, we like to plan things where we can just hang out and like talk.
And you like that?
Yeah, like
just kidding.
I mean, do you guys have a sense? Like Stevie, do you have a sense of what your love language is?
I feel like it's the services one,
acts of service
that would like make life easier, you know, like when someone like does the laundry or something like that, and you're like, thank you so much. But also like touch, like not PDA, but like being like physically with someone when you're out and about.
So are you a PDA person?
I think so, but I'm really bad at doing
that's pretty obvious. No.
That's pretty obvious.
No. If you are, no, you're saying, I think so. I was like, that item is pretty obvious on the list. I think you would know if you're a PDA type person, you would know it, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, but I do think some people may be like, I'm really into physical touch and showing affection in that way, but I don't like to do it in public. I use PDA because that's one of the ways that I know that my wife likes that. But the funny thing is that when you figure out, I think why this is so useful is that when you figure out what it is that your partner, what their love language is, it becomes so much easier.
You're speaking their language.
It's so easy for me to just go up to my wife and just give her a hug, or to just like touch her hair.
And then you have like you hug her and there's a checklist behind her and you're like checking it off where she can't see it.
But my natural inclination isn't to do that, right?
Right.
But when I do that, which is such an easy thing to do, it goes so far. It can like change the entire day. So that's you find out what your partner's love language is, and then the next thing you know,
right, like Christy's
you've improved your relationship.
Hers is quality time, and then I think acts of service. So like I'd sweep the floor. That's an act of service. You laugh, but it's like in our house, stuff gets on that floor.
I said doing the laundry.
I love it. Like she came home last night and I swept the floor.
Oh, she was like, "Ooh, it's time for some quality time."
Yeah. And then quality time is okay. The constructive thing I can do is schedule a date night. So all right, every 2 weeks, let's have a date night.
But
then it's so fun. It's funny because you have the practical thing, but then you still don't do it.
Right. But
because
do you think
I'm lazy or whatever? So I don't plan ahead.
But does that impact what you choose to do on your date? Because dinner and a movie is a very common date, but dinner and a movie isn't usually quality time because there's a 2.5 hour period during the date where you're just watching a movie.
I feel guilty going to dinner and a movie because I feel like it conveys, I don't really want to be with you.
I mean, I would say that.
But sometimes it's a really good movie.
If you're starting to date somebody, I don't know, it depends on the person, but I'm not starting to date anyone, I'm married, but if I was about to start dating someone, I wouldn't be like, I would never do dinner and a movie as a first date.
Well, the good thing about that is that you're there. but there's not the pressure of having to like buoy a conversation for like 2 hours.
If you can't have a 2-hour conversation with somebody that you just met, it's one thing when you've been married for 13 years. Sometimes you're just like, let's just sit here and watch something together.
Yeah.
You know, you've learned how to just enjoy the silence sometimes. But you just met somebody and you're on a date with them, I mean, you should be able to have endless conversation in that stage of a relationship.
Unless you're not a conversationalist. I mean, there's people who are.
Really?
Yeah.
I would say almost, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Let's get the gallery to weigh in here. I think that regardless of your level of conversational skills, with someone that you're entering into the early stages of a relationship with, you should pretty much be able to have endless conversation with them.
Endless conversation?
Yes, endless conversation.
I think that's coming from somebody who easily conversates. I don't think that's, I think that's a skewed perspective.
I think there would, if you're bad at it, there might be awkward moments, but I do agree that you should be able to talk to each other for a long period of time.
You should, but like if it's a first date, you don't know if they are good at that, so then you can like set up something, like go to a concert. So it's like, oh yeah, we can go and talk, or like.
Well, that's such a, I value that so highly that if I'm not gonna sit and have, if I can't have stimulating conversation on our first few dates, it's just like, well, what's the point of this? You know what I'm saying? So maybe that's just my preference.
That's why I think quality time is higher for you, because when you think about conversation as a qualifier of the quality of a relationship.
But I think this takes into account, like I said, it takes into account a lot of things, and I'm answering it in the context of my marriage. And Jesse and I do a lot of things together, and we schedule a lot of time together. We definitely don't avoid each other. So maybe there's just this. It's just part of our relationship.
I think you were just
thinking
you were just answering the questions to get the most knickknacks.
And I never thought about that, because I was always like, well, I'm not good at giving gifts. So I know that's not my love language, but boy, I'm good at getting them.
But no, I would guess that one for you, because you get a lot of, like, you don't get gifts, but you get a lot of things, like, we're like, oh, we need this. Let's get this. Let's get this.
He likes to buy stuff, yeah.
You like to buy things. You like things.
I do like things. I do like shiny things.
Right.
In stimulating conversation.
So if you want, I think if you want to love Rhett, mail him something. Preferably another one of these. He'll take as many of these as you can mail him.
Red babies. Take as many.
But for me, it's easier. Just leave an ultra complimentary comment below this video.